Principal Drapeau, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely.
I'm excited about talking about Ocean Beach Elementary because I personally have a vested interest because I have a mess of kids.
Yes, you do.
And they're all coming to school here, and it's been awesome so far. How long have you been the principal here?
This is my 6th year here at Ocean Beach Elementary as principal.
6th year.
Mm-hmm.
We're concluding. What are some of the joys about Ocean Beach Elementary specifically that you experience as principal?
Well, this was the one place I actually really wanted to be as a principal. This is my first principal job, and of all the schools in San Diego, this was the one place I was actually really wanting to be. So to land here has been just a dream. I have a great team of teachers around me, fantastic support staff here, and just amazing community members that really want to make sure Ocean Beach Elementary is a special place for kids. And I think all that stuff coming together, all those forces combining, really do make it something special. So every day when I come here, I feel like I've landed in the exact right spot.
Okay, that's awesome, and I think everybody that lives in the neighborhood would agree to that. But for you, why OB? Now, I heard you say great staff, great school. Why 92107?
I was born and raised here in San Diego. My parents are immigrants from 2 different countries. Not a big beach-going family. So we went few and far between. So when I turned 16, how do I get to the beach? And my dad said, well, just go to the end of the 8, take a left, take a right, and you'll be in OB. So I said, done. And so I started driving here on my own when I was 16. I totally felt like, wow, this is such a neat part of town. For years, this was the only beach I knew how to come to. I didn't know how to go to Del Mar. I didn't know how to go to Encinitas. I just knew how to come to OB.
Some might argue that's all you need to know.
Well, I think that's a lot of wisdom there.
All the beach you need to know.
Yeah.
Well, okay, cool. So here you are as principal of OB Elementary. What got you started in principaling?
Principaling? That's a good question. Initially, it wasn't really my dream. I was teaching for about 9 years, and then I took a role, they called it the Parent Academic Liaison at a middle school, which allowed me to work with community and families a lot. And I felt like that was something that I really clicked with. And in the back of my mind, I thought, boy, if there was a way to do this at a bigger level, because that position was only funded for a few years, I would like to see if I could embed that in whatever I do next. My boss at the time got promoted to a different school and took me with her and said, I'm going to mentor you on school leadership, whether you want to or not. And so I said, okay. And I went along with her and worked for her for about the next 7 years. And when the opportunity to come to a school on my own and try to embed some of those learnings in the school culture here, I thought, I think that's what I want to do.
So it was a mix of your love for education, and then you discovered you had another joy and passion for parents and community building.
Exactly. I think there, again, it's based on my experience with my mom, who wanted to contribute and didn't know how. Language barriers. So that's always been a big deal to me, seeing there's people out there that want to be part of it in a variety of different ways. How do we open the door and let them know there's a spot for them?
Awesome.
And that builds an amazing community.
Well, let's highlight the community aspect of Ocean Beach Elementary. Now, one thing that when I, as a local realtor, talk to people, like to say, well, the school was built in 1909, 1910, and that was before everybody had a car.
Yes.
Thus, no parking.
Yes.
Which means people have the opportunity to walk. And as a local who's lived, a couple blocks away that way for a while, a couple blocks away that way, now a couple blocks away that way. The walk to school is a sacred time for our family. We're meeting people and talking to people, and then we all congregate here. Tell us more about the community feel among families and teachers and parents and location.
Yeah, well, I think OB lends itself to that. It still feels like, in a lot of ways, a small town. So when you see people walking, people are families are joining up with other families to get here. It starts the day with some really strong roots, real strong community building. Once they get here, we want to welcome them. We want to let them know, that's what we want. We want people to feel connected to the school. We want people to understand there's a place for everybody. I think one of the great strengths of OB is this school has a little bit of everything. most schools, for a lot of different reasons, have a lot of the same thing. I've worked at schools that have a lot of one thing and not much of anything else. We have a little bit of everything.
Such as?
I have parents who work their own businesses and do very well financially and live up on the hill overlooking the ocean. And I have parents that are just trying to keep their head above water for one more day. And everything in between. Parents who are carpenters, teachers, firefighters, business owners, realtors, teachers, and people who are hoping to just get an entry-level job because they made a few bad choices earlier and are trying to straighten the ship. So what that does is our students here meet every type of family at a young age. So what that does is let them see, like, hey, you believe something different, you live differently, but we get along. We're friends. That's the most important thing. And they can take that with them through their adulthood so that they can meet someone that believes differently, that lives differently, that has a different value system, but hey, we actually get along, we enjoy each other's company. All that other stuff is lesser. And I think the world could use a lot more of that these days.
And everybody sings the same school song on Friday.
That's our bonding experience. We have a school song that was written by a former employee here who was a musician. And on Fridays, we gather together. The whole school is out there. We do a flag salute. We make a few announcements, and then we recognize a couple students from a student from each class that's embodying our theme of the month. And then we close out with "Catch the Wave," which is a school song. Everybody sings it. On Fridays, you're going to find out it's a little heavier out there with parents on Fridays because they want to be part of it, and it's something that really, really sets the tone for the week, the tone for the day, and gives the kids something to hold on to. Some of our alumni that have moved on have let me know they didn't realize how much that song meant to them until they got to a school where it's not. They've been singing that song for 5 years on Friday, and now they're not. They feel it. They feel it.
That's rough. Well, we sing the song, and we'll be singing it for a while. So
I'm sure you will be.
So we've established that the community is amazing, that the location in Ocean Beach is amazing, the socioeconomic diversity is an attribute. What about education? Let me ask you this. How do you prepare a 5-year-old for a future 15 years from now that hasn't been invented?
That's our mission right now. And I tell our staff, our mission is to teach kids to know what to do when they don't know what to do. Because we have no idea what the world's going to look like when your youngest graduates. And if we think about just the last 10, 11, 12 years, how much the world's changed. And we can't presume to know what it's going to look like down the road. So what we want to emphasize is creativity, flexibility, and collaboration. Because those things are going to be needed no matter what. Right now, a 15-year-old can communicate to Thailand and show, this is what I'm capable of doing. Do you want to hire me? And 15-year-olds are getting hired. So we want to be able to equip the kids with that creative and flexible thinking so that they know no matter what comes their way, they can reflect and say, okay, what are my options? What tools do I have in my tool belt to handle this? Because the old way of, lining yourself up with a path, getting to the job, staying there 30 years and retire is really almost non-existent.
That's not going to work. And I get like this visual image of like maybe where old school is, you're on track, you're on a train track, and you just need to know. And this is more about learning how to sail because you never know where it's going to take you.
And something someone told a group of us was, with technology changing everything, right now the technology I have in my pocket is the best I've ever seen. The technology my daughter has in her pocket is the worst she'll ever see. It's only going to increase. So they're viewing it completely differently from me. They're saying, what's beyond this? Where I'm thinking, man, we can camp out on this for a while.
So this is like Atari.
Exactly. For your kids, they're going to be, can you believe someone actually used this in a couple of years?
You had to hold it?
Yeah. You had to actually hold it in your hand.
They couldn't think for you.
So we're at a point with our students that we need to be able to make sure they know, hey, what we're doing is teaching how to think, not teaching how to memorize facts or learn concepts. We need to teach you how to think. Concept.
Well, I remember when a couple years ago when we were talking about education, something that stuck out that I share with people is you said we're not focusing on how smart your kid is. We're saying, how is your kid smart?
Exactly.
And I think that's really the shift that the world needs, is from this standardized everything to personal care and being able to see each kid.
And we've had conversations just this week about where can we take our social emotional learning, because that's not fluff and that's not extra. That's a big deal, and we want to make sure our kids are sent out into the world prepared, equipped, and I think kind and caring, and being willing to look out for each other.
And whatever, I'll get political for a sec, because it's interesting when there's bigger conversations about school bullying, and I'm pointing this back to the kindness aspect, but we see Congress people and presidents bullying each other publicly, battling it out in the public, setting terrible example, and they're the biggest bullies with millions of bullying dollars behind them. So, oh my gosh, being able to teach children kindness will change things. And
I'm hoping that with the kids, that some of them only been on this earth for 8 years at school. So if they hadn't heard it before, we can kind of frame that conversation around saying everyone benefits from a kinder environment.
Who can argue with that? Last question. You pour your heart out here, you connect with the kids. What's it all about for you? What's that deeper purpose, that bigger why that you show up with?
Well, and that's a great question. Sometimes it can feel like you're just managing tasks. A lot of it can be when I reflect on conversations I've had with kids that have let me know, hey, look at this, Mr. DePoe, and whatever it is, it could be they wrote their first full sentence, or they completed a multimedia project in 4th grade. But I can say, you know what, you're showing me why I'm here, because that to me is, I always frame it in this sense. A couple weeks ago, that might not have been what you were capable of, and look what happened now. And because of the direction of our school, we're allowing kids to be able to express themselves in a number of different ways. A few years ago, we talked about a project that we'd been doing traditionally for a while. Then we had a conversation. The teacher said, you know what, we're going to mix it up. If someone wants to do a visual, someone wants to do a dance performance, someone wants to do a book report, let's let them show off what they know in a way that they can really, really demonstrate their thinking. So that's the biggest thing for me, is like, I have 2 kids. What kind of school would I build for my 2 kids that would make them the best 2 kids they could be? Right. And that doesn't necessarily mean the straight A valedictorian. I mean the best they can be. And for some of us, that means a lot of different things. But as long as there's an avenue for them to be that best person, that's what I want to create.
That's great, and that's who I want. Being the captain of my kids' elementary school. So good stuff. We want to leave you with a gift.
Oh.
This is an energy stick. And as you know, we're all made of energy and electricity. And for those that may not know that, this demonstrates it. As we hold different ends, it shows that we are conductors of electricity. Now, when we're connected together, we're even stronger, and the electricity can flow between us. And for us, that's what community is all about. So we'll do a little demonstration. Hold it. And if we let go, the current stops, the connection stops. So this is for you, maybe at a staff meeting to show what it's all about. But it's the connectivity of you within OB Elementary as part of the community, and how we're better when we're connected. Thanks so much for your time.
You got it. Thanks for coming out. Of course. Anytime.